Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 29th, 2021 at approximately 5:34 a.m. PST. I'm going to be doing something a little different today, sort of for me anyway. I keep talking about getting a list of goals together and, you know, as in things that you do not like around in your life, so that we can shift the energy and make your life a better world. This is simply using the tools that I personally use myself. Now, I've been talking to people on personal issues, business issues, UFO and alien abduction issues. You name the topic, I've probably been dealing with it for the last 48 years now. And yeah, I realize that sounds a little wonky, especially when you think that I started doing this quite by accident when I was 10 years old. Basically, the way it worked out was this: I sat down on a car bench on a park bench. I was 10 years old, and a young lass looks at me. And she sat down beside me, and to this day, I cannot figure out whether she actually said it or whether I just heard it. Because I'm what they call an uncontrolled telepath. I can't tell, in all fairness, if I'm hearing what somebody says or if I'm just picking up what they're thinking. And I may respond to either one. Now, the way it went down, the way this all got started, was I sat down on the car bench, and this young lass sat down beside me, a little blonde thing. Well, she was 16, 17 years old, I'm guessing. But what I heard was, I've had a boyfriend for the last 2 years. We used to do everything together. Now he won't look at me. He won't touch me. He won't even look at me. She says, "What's wrong?" So of course, at 10 years old, you're not thinking about what this really means. But we looked at her and we went, "Well, he's sleeping with you. He's sleeping with your best friend." And the girl goes, "What do you mean?" I says, "Well, they're crawling into bed together." Now, at 10 years old, you're not thinking what that really amounts to as an older teenager or as a young adult. She goes, "Well, how do you know it's my best friend?" I says, "Technically, I don't. But she looks like this, behaves like this, you met her like this." She goes, "That's my best friend." I says, "I know I'm overstepping on this one, but you might want to reconsider your definition of best." From there on, recess, lunch, before school, and after school, I had people looking for me, to find out what was going on with their lives. Now, understanding I grew up during the Vietnam War, and I was on a military base, you can bet that a lot of those questions were, are dad or mom coming home? Okay. Now, this all sounds really wonky until you realize at my 30-year grad reunion, the first gentleman I ran into, he took one look at me and goes, "Weren't you one of the counselors?" So I looked at him and I said, "No, I was actually a student. I just did more work than the two counselors combined." Because let's understand, kids on the whole will not talk to adults about what they're going through. Because adults on the whole, even the ones that are trained in psychology and psychiatry, even those ones seem to have forgotten what it's like to be a kid to start with. Okay, so the kids just won't open up. Now, for me, that's where it started. And from there on, it's been this world that's just had people coming to me from all over the place for all kinds of reasons. And because of the fact that I work in the UFO, the alien side of things, it's not just been humans I've been dealing with. I've been dealing with the off-worlders, with the ancient races, and when you look at those, okay, this is just one of the many books that I've got written, and there's actually a list of them on the videos below, right below the video. Okay, this is a reference manual. 59 different races that I personally have dealt with. Okay. Now, that's where it all started. What I was referring to about doing things a little differently today was this. Okay, before I get started on that, hopefully we get a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot of information we're going to be covering over the next little while, and a whole pile that's already been covered. don't forget to hit the alert button to let you know when they come up, because I try and do at least one of these videos a day. What I'm going to do that's a little different today is this. I've got a bunch of things that I am aiming to do now. The two big goals that I've got. One is to spread this message. The reason I returned in the first place was to spread this message that working together, all entities of creation, working together, every race, the whole 9 yards, we can make this a better world, a better reality for just about everybody. Now, there will almost always be somebody disappointed, okay, or somebody that's not satisfied. You cannot control that, okay? You can only control your reactions, your responses. The only thing in existence that you actually own is your word. It's the only thing that cannot be taken from you. Now, yes, you can be coerced into giving it away. You can be threatened, which really is a more intense form of coercion. But what I find, and I've mentioned this before, a lot of these videos, what ends up happening is I feel like I'm talking to myself and hoping that the people that are listening are eavesdropping and pick up enough of the tools that I personally use myself to straighten their life out. To this end, on this list beside me, I've got a number of things I'm aiming to do, because the second big task I've got is this little book here. Okay, now this little book here is a novel that I wrote the outline for back in grade 10. Okay, now I just got in yesterday. I just got in this. Now, this book here is the one that I personally produce. Okay, this is the one that has color pictures, and it's got color maps in it. It has, I do sign the thing, and on the back of it, you'll notice there is a border here. Well, this is a series of 12. Okay, it's a series of 12 books, all tied together. Basically, it's 4 trilogies. It will be 4 trilogies back to back, all locked together. But if you notice the binding on it, okay, all 12 books, when they lay together, this forms one picture. Okay, these 12 books, when you get them, the ones that you order from me, when you get them, are done very much this way. But when you lay them out, the first 3 across the top, then 4 rows of 3, together they form one picture. Now, the reason I'm showing you this book in particular is this is the one that you get when you order directly from me. This is the one that you get when you order from Amazon. Now, the picture on the binding will end up being the same way, but you'll notice that the back, there's a black line all the way around it. Fabulous design as far as that goes. Okay, but as you can tell, if you take 2 books and put them side by side, you're going to have a great big black divider in the middle of it. To that end, the one you buy from me is quite literally, it's $40, right, plus shipping. Now, shipping, I'm looking in the other ones. Now, these ones, okay, these are black and white all the way through. Okay, these are also unsigned, but that's what you can get from Amazon. Okay, and they're selling it at $30. Okay, but the reason I brought that up is actually just to put it in context. What I've got here is a list of 3 things that I'm absolutely intending on doing today. And the reason I'm telling you is more to tell me, because I find once I say I'm going to do something, because I have this thing about saying this is what I'm going to do and then going ahead and doing it, I'm hoping that helps me stay a little more focused than what I have been. Because if you recall the recording either yesterday or the day before, it was, to say the least, a little scattered. Okay, so what I've got on this list is to do the proofing for, chapter 13 in the End of an Epoch, which is a sequel to The Birth of a Wolf Pack. Okay, now that relies on whether my proofreader is actually available. Okay, that would be the first thing. Now, I wrote a note here and cannot for the life of me remember what it was. Oh, yes I do, I just wrote poorly. I am also right now writing the initial draft of the Return to Paradise, which is the third book in the sequence. Okay, so I want to get some of that written. And of course, over on the other side of the office, you can barely see it. Just behind the chair there is a desk that I've got to get cleared. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is realistically, it's more a question of telling me this. Okay, so what I'm aiming at here is going, okay, this is what I'm planning on doing, and the only one of those, the one thing out of those three I don't have definitive control over is whether or not I get the proofing done, because that requires the assistance of my proofreader, and I don't know what their schedule is. Okay, that one we sort of have to play by ear. But I've already got the first two things on my list for today done, and I'll be done within the hour here. I'll be done the other two. The other two, by the way, being get the journey recorded and then get it posted. Now, again, this really boils down to an issue of I'm not content with the way things are going. Okay, and as you can tell, I still bounce around a bit. But hey, what the heck? I had a whole pile. I was talking the other day about all this paperwork that I had to go through and had to get sorted out. Okay, that had to be dealt with in order to get the paperwork off my desk. Which is why I've got this list here. Okay, the nice little part about it is by doing this, and by talking about it this way, I'm hoping it keeps me focused enough to get things done. Now, I was working on part of the series yesterday, right? And discovered something really convenient. I had picked up, and I think about a couple of weeks back, I showed you a couple of characters that I had put into the book. Now, I found the figures absolutely by accident. They weren't designed for the stories. They just kind of worked out that way. Now that I've got them, though, I can sit here and I'm actually using the figures as a focal point. And this is a tip to those of you that are writing. If you can have different, like, actual physical configurations that really help you stay focused on what a character looks like or on what a scene looks like, okay, it will help you write a little more effectively, because it takes it from just the conceptual side of it to actually a physical representation. Which is where, see, now here's the thing. Okay, this here is this is the dragon from the story, okay, by the name of Shan. Now, and this is one of those figures that I found quite by accident. Okay, it just worked out really well. So now she sits up here along with the rest of the figures I know of, but that's only part of the equation. I showed you before, I paint these little figures. This is one of the creatures that is actually directly responsible for the situation Tayrock finds herself in. Okay, and again, these are just figures I paint, which means I will have to... Now, this particular one has two factors. Okay, one is it is not actually a character per se. This one is just simply one of the background creatures. Okay, but by having it there, I can actually keep an eye on what's going on. Now, the reason it's down there is because I've got to do some painting on it. As a matter of fact, I really should do some painting. So I think I'll just add that to my list today. Now, The other thing that happens here, when you've got the figures available, it will help you stay a little focused. Now, this is just giant, and quite frankly, I haven't figured out what to do with it. It just looked neat. So it was one of those things that I was going to be painting anyway. So I'll put that down there out of the way, get this one down here out of the way. Now, this is one of those little issues of, yeah, I know, I probably faded out there. This is one of the issues of too many things in the way, so I figured I better deal with them. Okay. So, when you're looking at writing, and this is the one area that I do know what I'm doing with. I'm learning as far as marketing goes. That's another issue. Okay, the writing and the conceptualization. That is what I've been doing. If you go to my website, to my what do we call it here? To my Facebook page called Yldrbac, Yldrbac. Look that up on Facebook, okay, and you'll find that I'm actually walking you through that creative process, where it all came from. I'm doing a quick streamline through the beginning parts. Then I'll get into more of the details as to what's actually evolving and why. Okay, now, am I a professional writer? The answer is yes. Okay, I call myself professional because I have 5 books in print. 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are actually physically in print that can be ordered directly from me right now. I recently signed a contract with authorhouse.com. So they are now available in a professional setting on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and at authorhouse.com itself. Okay, so am I a professional writer? The answer is yes. Am I a best-selling author? Not yet, but we'll see what happens. Part of that is marketing. Okay, but the idea here is these are the steps I personally use. Okay, and because I personally use them, I can tell you they work. Okay, of course, I don't expect you to take my word for it. Quite seriously, from my standpoint, don't take my word for it. Okay, do your own research and see what happens. Take a look. For instance, I tell you it's available on Amazon. Birth of the Wolf Pack. If you look it up on Amazon, you'll find it. Okay. Because the only thing in your life that you actually have, the only thing that cannot be taken away, is your word. And that is, for me, a very important factor. Now, do I make mistakes? You bet. Do I intentionally lie to people? Never. Well, I shouldn't say never. I was asked once years ago, a guy came to me and he goes, look, I was working at a psychic fair. And I kid you not, this gentleman sits down with me and he goes, look, I already know what my past is. I don't care what my future looks like specifically. He said, but I'm having a really bad run right now. He goes, I don't care if you lie to me to make me feel better. Okay, I just want to feel better. If you can do that, I'll be happy to pay your price. So I said, pull up a chair. And like I told him, because we were recording it, okay, he got the only copy of the cassette, which gives you an idea how long ago it was. And, like I told him, right at the beginning of it, I says, okay, now, you understand I'm going to lie to you. He goes, yes. Great. I says, did you? I says, and you're the one that asked me to lie to you. He goes, that's right. I asked you to lie to me to make me feel better. I says, great. We're good. So I went and did and we'll call it reading, really what I did. And of course, now realizing I'm also a professional author, made it real easy to paint a story. What I really did was painted a story for him that gave him a whole lot of hope and a whole lot of focus on what he could do to make his life better. That he had control over it. The problem was, he had lost control of everything, and his whole world was falling apart, and he really could not see any way around it. Now, of course, this begs the question, if I'm a professional author, professional writer, and I write in the science fiction, science fantasy world, if I'm writing in that field, then how do you know what I'm talking about is real? Well, in all fairness, you don't. How do I know it's real? Well, frankly, I've lived it, which is where this book comes in. Okay, this book here, these races are all ones I've personally dealt with. Now, you can go, oh, that's great, but that's all your imagination. And I would agree with you if it wasn't based on what I'd already personally gone through and the amount of corroboration that I've had on different events that I've seen in the way of alien interaction, in the way of past life memory. Okay, even my father on his deathbed confirmed what I'd been through. Now, of course, needless to say, unless you're a medium, you're not talking to my father anymore. Okay, so you can take that however you will. I'm not here to prove that I'm right or prove that I'm wrong. I'm here to tell you one thing, and that is that together we can make this world a better reality for virtually everybody concerned. And I'm talking the people, the other races, the plants, the animals, all of it. Okay, but it's going to require the effort of everybody. Now, since you cannot destroy energy, you simply modify it. Okay, you simply modify it. You can change its form. You can redirect it. But you're not going to destroy it. And you're not going to create it. It is a self-perpetuating energy, engine. Okay, much like what can we try one thought? Much like what I had to explain to somebody one day about the OTE drive, which is a star drive. It's called the oscillator densification of the tri-transnational equilarity. Now, can I explain it? Yes. Am I going to right this moment? No. I think I explained it a while ago. Okay, I'm pretty certain that I explained it on one of my videos earlier. Okay, but unfortunately, you'd have to go back through that. So again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and you can get back to all the videos that have been done before. Okay, and something just dawned on me. There is another set of videos that I did a long time ago. If you look up, like R. Keith Andrews will bring up all the videos. But the video channel that I'm actively working with right now is Inner Voice Enterprises. Okay. R. Keith Andrews was a video channel I used quite some time ago. And don't ask me what happened, where the change came from, because I don't recall. But what I'm aiming at doing is helping people realize that, first of all, you as an individual have the ability to change the way your life is going. Okay, you as an individual are the only one that can be successful for you. You can absolutely get direction from anybody that has done it successfully before. Well, you can talk to the ones that have done it poorly. I'd recommend not going down those roads. Okay. Now, I was told many times you cannot assess somebody's life if you've never walked in their shoes. I was also told don't knock some sort of food if you've never tried it. Well, I will tell you, I tried something when I was a kid, and I strongly recommend you don't try it. I mean, it was perfectly safe. Healthy, that depends on your definition. But my cousin used to swear by the idea that ketchup on ice cream was a good thing. I'll tell you, I tried ketchup on ice cream, more to the point, I tried ketchup on vanilla ice cream. And in my opinion, absolutely not worth trying. Okay, I tried it once, and rest assured, in my opinion, once was more than enough. So talk to the people that can give you encouragement. If you're aiming at doing something, where it comes to writing, I'm going to be walking people through it over the next little while on my Facebook page about what I'm dealing with. Now, I'm debating whether or not I should put it on LinkedIn, the walkthrough that I'm doing, because I'm just doing it in little bits and pieces. But I'm debating right now, and absolutely let me know what you think about any of the things I'm talking about, at one of the contacts below. Okay, absolutely. Leave me a comment on this video. I do keep an eye on the comments and do my best to respond to them. Sometimes I'll respond to them on a video. But rest assured, if you've asked me a question and you said, yeah, go ahead, either you said, absolutely talk about it on video, rest assured, regardless of what it said, I will not be using anybody's name except my own. Okay, Lord knows I've been doing this for 48 years. I've got a fair chunk of examples I can work with. Okay, and I've started getting into some of those. But where it comes to the big goals that I'm working on, one of the biggest challenges for me, especially where it comes to the writing, is becoming visible. Okay, and that ultimately is what I'm aiming at as far as a career down the road. It started now, and I am not about to quit my current job until such time as that's actually making enough money. Now, I'm figuring, in all realistic outlook, I'm figuring I'm probably looking at a good 3 to 5 years before I'm making enough money on writing to be able to just focus only on writing. But I'm building the pattern now so that I can actually get started and make headway with it. And I do encourage you, if you've got a goal, a dream, it doesn't matter how big it may seem. Okay, the big ones that I hear about are, I want to become an artist, an author, a superstar. I desire to become a major politician. Whatever. It doesn't matter how big it is. Okay. Absolutely, some of them are far reach. But I tell you, where it comes to artwork, I'm not going into artwork. Okay, now technically I can make a lot of money at it. I've seen paintings that, I kid you not, look like somebody was walking towards a wall with a bucket of paint in their hand. They tripped and they threw it on the wall. And then they put a frame around it and went, that's art. And they make millions at it. Now, I have no idea why. I mean, where it comes to drawing, I figure, in my eyes, if I can draw a stick man and fell down the staircase and landed in the carburetor, I did well. Okay. Now, do I know how to write, in my opinion? Yes. Okay. It remains to be seen whether I can write in other people's opinions. But that's where the sales will come in. If I can, then that works out great. Take a goal, and whatever goal it is that you've got, in whatever dream you've got, regardless of when you had it. Maybe you're in your mid-30s, okay, or older, and you had a dream when you were, in your mid-teens, that you desired to do this. If you've still got that dream, you're going, gee, I'd like, I would have liked to have done that. Well, rest assured, in most cases, if you're not dead, you can still carry on with it. Now, I will tell you this, if you intended on running in the Olympics, right, when you were a teenager, and you're now in your 40s, the odds are it's not going to happen well. But anything using this, anything using your head. I had a client that came to me, she really, really was disappointed in herself because she missed going med school when she was just getting out of school. She didn't see it as an important thing. But as time went on, she came to me and she goes, I really wanted to be a doctor. And I'm thinking of going back to med school. Well, I met her when she was 52. By the time she was 53, we had her enrolled in school. Now, she did all the work. Okay, and at 60 years old, she phones me up, because I was working with her through the whole thing. She calls me up at 60 years old. Absolutely tickled pink. She had got her childhood dream. She had made her dream a reality and became an MD. Okay, you too have the ability to do just that. You've got a dream in your head or in your heart. Follow your heart, but use your head to get there. If you've got questions on how to get there, drop me a line, and I will do my best to point you in the right direction. Okay. The reality of it is there are very few things on this planet. Quite frankly, there's very few things in existence that cannot be done. Okay, there's a few I would strongly recommend, that you don't do. Okay, I've seen people do really, quite frankly, stupid things, very ill thought out things. Heck, I've done stupid things. Okay, I'm not perfect. And frankly, regardless of who you are or who you're talking to, they're not perfect either. Now, I'm going to bring this to a close, okay, because I try and keep these to the half-hour mark. So, until we meet again, which will be tomorrow sometime, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.